All right, so here's a little update on gold. So it is now Tuesday morning, 6:16 in the morning. So obviously, we're out of our gold long position, and it was a nice move to the upside, right? But since we got out, what can we look at here? So obviously, we had our break to the upside, um, but as we go on more and more here, um, you know, I don't usually trade based off of trend lines, but I just kind of want to show the overall shape here that we're moving up very sharply, right? Um, very sharply, very steep, rise to the upside, and then what do we do here, right? So we break this high, make a new high very quickly, high volume candle, very quickly reject, move back to the downside, and then what do? We come up again, fail to reach this high, right? We don't break this high, so we make a lower high, and now are coming down again. And so at the moment, when I was talking about getting a pullback here on gold, um, I think we could be getting that here pretty soon. Now we have two levels marked here, two more minor levels, um, here and down here, and so ideally under very bullish circumstances we could get a long position somewhere with if we show support within one of these levels, um, and now the issue with that is a lot of times we may end up getting a bigger pullback, which um, could be down here to previous levels. And so if that's the case, this is going to be a much more spread out sort of transition. um, Actually, I want to, yeah, I wanted to look at the dollar index because the dollar index will tell us a lot of what's going on with gold. So if we go to a weekly dollar index. So look at the previous candles, right? Obviously, we're moving down. We're more or less in a large range, but we're moving down, um, very bearish, right? And we do have some more wick down here to fill into, and that we have a support down here as well. Let's just mark that. And you can see the current week, we had our pullback and we are now moving, it appears that we are moving lower. But if we look at let's go to a daily first. Yeah. Um, yeah, this is a little jumpy. I maybe should have used a different price provider. But anyway, um, what we need to look at here is we have a lot of weakness on the dollar, and we've been at this support for a while, and we continue to try to, you know, bounce, move to the upside and hold this level as support. Now, eventually, this will all break. So if we go back to like a daily chart, right? We have these times where we, move up and we're sort of trying to hold this overall support down here, but time after time we continue to move down. So if we get another move down here, or especially if we break 100 on this, um, all that this means is that weakness here is going to be strength for gold and silver, and most stocks, right? And so, really, what I don't necessarily trade based off of this, obviously, but I do like to, keep an eye out, and always have a look at the dollar index because it can really tell you a lot. And so, um, you know, like I said, I think that maybe we come down and get a bit more of a correction or retracement, which would lead to maybe a little bit more of a correction on gold. But I think obviously long term, the dollar will continue to have weakness and fall through that support, but which would mean that whether we come down to here and move up, or whether we come down to this previous level and maybe we bounce around a little bit and then we eventually move back up. I think we just need to be aware that, and obviously I'm biased because I'm out of my position now, but we need to be aware that we can get um, some sort of larger pullback that we may not be wanting. And so we just need to be prepared for that in case that does happen, right? I think the most ideal situation would be coming down into this support. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. Just dollar weakness will pretty much always correlate to gold and silver, and metal strength, right? So anyway, that's just kind of what I'm looking at now. Um, really, I say this a lot, but it's really just common sense price action, right? What do we see? What are we doing right now, right? We kind of broke out of this pattern of, really strongly trending. Obviously, we're still bullish, but, we made this high, what, like I said earlier, came down, failed to reach it, lower high. Now we have a little minor support level in here, obviously. You don't need to mark all of it, but um, so really what I'm looking for is a pullback into one of these levels, and then obviously we will, see signs of support. But again, on the weekly chart, what were we looking at here, right? So the previous weekly candle, we are looking for a pullback maybe about halfway through the candle, similar to this previous week, right? We had a really um, bullish week 2 weeks ago, and then last week's candle came down maybe a little bit less than halfway, right? Similar to this, made a bottom wick and continued up. That would not surprise me if we could do that here, where, from here we come down, right? That sort of thing. So again, going down to it's obviously going to be pretty zoomed out. Going down to an hourly, that is obviously correlates to this level here. And so, if we were to come down, yeah, let me adjust this. So, like I said, if we were to come down into this level and establish a nice support, I would be very bullish again, right? Maybe we wick a few times and tapped down a little bit lower, but I'd be very bullish here at this level. So, anyway, just something, all these different things to keep in mind.